So great to see you on the show. Welcome in, everybody. Butt Fumble Sports is live on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Appreciate all of you being with us, no matter the platform. Grateful to have you with us every single day that we go live. Make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. I know I'm looking kind of ratchet right now, but I'm on the move, but still trying to go live as frequently as I can. So wonderful to have you guys with us. We did pretty well on the predictions and the picks and the research that we did yesterday. Hopefully we can have the same kind of success throughout today's show. If you guys have a pick that you guys want us to focus on, if there's a particular bet that you're interested in, throw them in the comments section. No matter where you're watching, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Kick, throw your questions in the comments section because we love hearing from you, answering as many questions as we can. For those that are curious, like El Pinche, am I going to watch the UFC 300 on Saturday? Probably not. I'm kind of on the fence. It depends what kind of plans I make. I'm not a big UFC bettor. I like the big matchups, obviously, that have some big names. It's going to be a good event. But I might make plans of my own, which probably keeps my dollar in my pocket for UFC 300. For those that are curious about what we're going to focus on today, MLB only has a few more games left to go. We have NBA and NHL that we're going to research today. Again, throw your questions and comments in the chat. If any of you guys have a game you want us to focus on, we do our research live on the show right here in front of you. Think of it like a Benihana of sports betting and fantasy sports, where we do the research right in front of you. We've put in some bets of our own, but nothing that we're really pumped about. We're going to do our research live on the air using Outlier. Outlier is a sports betting research tool that allows us to look at trends and data over different periods of time under different circumstances. We also use killersports.com, a great free website that allows us to do our research live on the air. So, is there a game you guys care about? NBA, NHL, we're going to focus on both. Throw your questions, your comments, your requests up there in the comments section, no matter the platform. Jennifer, great to see you. Miss doing the lives. It's great to see your handle in the comments section, Jennifer. Such a loyal viewer. Great to know we've built a great relationship and friendship throughout the course of our last few shows. Jennifer, let us know if there's some games you're focused on tonight. Buffalo in the NHL. Thanks so much, Jennifer. Tip of the hat to you. El Pinche's asking about Knicks and Celtics. So we're going to focus. Let's start right now in the NHL. We're going to shift on over to the Buffalo Sabres taking on the Washington Capitals. The money coming down very heavily on the Sabres, I should mention. 99% of the money that's been bet on this game is on the Sabres. When we see that kind of heavy money being positioned on one side, we tend to follow it. That's really telling us something. Let's just take a quick look at some of the trends that may come up from this game. Looking just over the course of this season, the team we're focusing on is the Sabres. And when they have an opponent, let's go with Sabres. When they have an opponent with an above 500 winning percentage, and they are a home favorite. They've gone 3-3 over the course of the season. How is that not the case? They're a home favorite. What am I missing here? 2023 season. Are they not a favorite by killersports.com? No, they are. Where's this game being played then? Just looking at the Sabres, getting our first review of them. They have won 6 of their last 8 home games, their losses being to the Maple Leafs and to the Senators. They're a home favorite. Personally, right now, what stands out is the Sabres. Thanks so much, the Cooper movie. Great to see you. What stands out right now is the Sabres as the moneyline favorite. Kind of like to go with them. Oh, did we just hit our goal? Thank you so much. Capitals as an away dog. Capitals have struggled in their last 4, winning just one of their last 4. One of those losses came to the Sabres on April 2nd. I think I'd go Sabres on the money line. That would be the first one we put up on the board to answer that question that someone previously asked. Appreciate you guys asking your questions. We had a question over from El Pinche over on YouTube asking about the Knicks and the Celtics. Let's jump on over to the NBA, answer his question. El Pinche, Knicks and Celtics. Right now the Celtics are a slight favorite, -1.5. But this is a game in which we're going to be focused on the injury report. That's what's really going to define things. OG Anunoby is playing tonight. Very important for those that are betting on the Knicks or are looking at player prop bets. OG Anunoby is in the lineup tonight, so that may impact how we think about some of our bets. As for the Boston Celtics, Kristaps Porzingis is a game-time decision. Drew Holiday, the man with the new contract, 4-year deal, he is a game-time decision as well, as is Xavier Tillman. But no one's been ruled out yet for the Celtics that we're seeing. So again, we're going to go off the assumption that all of these players are going to be in the lineup, but you may want to keep your eye on Porzingis being out, Holiday potentially being out. Celtics like to kind of rotate guys in and out of the lineup over the last few weeks. Wouldn't be surprised if they do so in this one. With that said, let's take a look at some of the trends from this game. But before we do, we've looked at injury report. Right now, in terms of how the public is betting this game, they believe the Knicks are going to win. So keep your eye on that. A lot of people would obviously believe the Knicks have more to play for in terms of positioning. But let's just take a look at the Celtics. When they have been a home favorite against an opponent with an above 500 winning percentage so far this year, they've gone 24-3. If I were to raise that to 600 winning percentage, doesn't include tonight, how about if it's between 500? I'm just going to play around with some of our trends to see if we can narrow in on something that really stands out. Less than or equal to 600, like the Knicks. So the Celtics only have one loss against a team with a winning percentage between 500 and 600%. That was the Lakers. If you remember that loss, the LeBron-less Lakers that beat the Celtics in Boston back in February. Celtics have gone 15-1 under the circumstances that they have tonight. Home favorite against a New York Knicks team. Let's take a look, though, when the Celtics have been a home favorite, but the line has been, let's say, less than -2. They've only had one game this year under those circumstances. It's tonight's matchup. Tells you something right there. -3, let's raise it up. Let's see if we can get any of these pieces of data to stand in. Interesting. Yeah. Wow. How is that possible? The Celtics have only been a favorite of 6 points or less 5 times this year. How is that possible? This is the only time so far this season the Celtics have been a home favorite of a spread less than 2 points. That's crazy. That's the kind of dominance we've seen from the Boston Celtics so far this year. Incredible to think that roster is going to stick around for the next few seasons. Very interesting there. Let's flip it over. Right now, obviously, a lot of the trends are going to favor the Boston Celtics winning. Kind of been the history of the season. But let's just take a look at how the Knicks have done under some of the circumstances that they'll face tonight. They're an away dog. And that spread, again, is 2. So I just want to see how they've done. It's 1.5, 2. So how have they done when they've had a spread of that narrow a margin? They've gone 3-1 straight up, 3-1 against the spread. The only loss that they suffered was to the Rockets, and it was a 2-point loss. So kind of interesting there. Their average margin of difference in these 4 games that they've played under these circumstances is actually 7 points in their favor. Again, 3-1 straight up, 3-1 against the spread. Interesting. I'd be curious to know what people think out there. Let's do a quick poll. Let's do a quick poll, everybody. Smiley face, Boston Celtics. Crying face, New York Knicks. Who do you think wins tonight's game? Based on some of the trends we've talked about, based on what you think's going to happen. Smiley face, Celtics. Crying face, New York Knicks. Who do you think's going to win the game tonight? We'll talk about it a little bit more afterwards. But share your vote. Crying face, New York Knicks. Smiley face, Boston Celtics. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, let us know. Boogie is going with the Celtics. Number of you guys are going with the Knicks over on TikTok. Let us know what you're going with. El Pinche's taking the Knicks. G Wild's taking the Celtics. Smiley face for the Celtics. Crying face for the Knicks. Who do you think wins tonight? A number of the trends we talked about. Obviously, both teams have some decent trends in their favor. I'll give out my pick just afterwards. We want to care about the injury report, but smiley face for the Celtics, crying face for the Knicks. Dylan, we'll talk over-under in a moment. Joshua likes the Celtics. Smiley face for the Celtics, crying face for the Knicks. Boogie, actually, I think Celtics have too many injuries. Okay, Boogie's changing his vote. And where the poll ends, Knicks have it over on TikTok. It seems like the Knicks have it with Boogie changing his vote and El Pinche going with the Knicks. I personally would take the Knicks as well. You could take them on a cover play at probably a +4.5 and feel very good about it. But I think the Knicks are actually going to get the win. I think the Boston Celtics are very much taking their foot off the gas. I'd be curious to know, without Porzingis in the lineup, without Drew Holiday, if those two players are out, is there enough defense, and is there enough with OG Anunoby playing for the Knicks? When OG has played, when OG's been in the lineup for the Knicks, they've been a very tough team to beat. I think the Celtics are going to take their foot off the gas. I think the Knicks are applying the foot on the gas. So personally, I would take the Knicks, but I'm not going to bet this game. I'm not going to bet this game. Don't feel strong enough about it. Was answering some of the questions. What I do like related to this game has to do with player prop bets. I want to talk about Jaylen Brown right now. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, two players I do like tonight when it comes to player prop bets. Jaylen Brown right now has a great matchup. Small forwards, 22nd. The Knicks are the 22nd ranked defense against the small forward position in points allowed. Jaylen Brown has been on a heater. IP Shade 45 knows what I'm talking about. So, over his last 10 home games, Jaylen Brown has gone 8 straight games going to at least 20 points. How about in his last, let's say, 4 home games against the Knicks? He has gone over 20 points in 3 of his last 4 games. He did miss it in his last game against the Knicks in December, but he has been a very consistent play, reaching 20 points against the New York Knicks overall. So in his last 20 games at home, 14 of his last 20, that's 70%. We talk about against the Knicks overall, whether it's at home or in New York. He's hit that 5 of his last 7 games, 71% of the time. When we're seeing history trends of 70% or higher, and there seems to be consistency there, that's something that we definitely want to jump on. So I will put this player prop bet on my board. Jaylen Brown over 19.5 points. If you want to play it safe, you could take the over 18.5. I think that obviously if he's getting 19, I think he's getting 18. But if you want to make it a parlay or something like that, and you're a little bit nervous, you could probably work it down a little bit. But I think Jaylen Brown reaches 20 points. Appreciate you guys being with us. I'm seeing right now that the Kentucky Wildcats are interested in the head coach of BYU after Scott Drew turned them down to stay at Baylor. Dan Hurley is staying at UConn. Just as a quick kind of rant, I think Kentucky is going to learn very, very quickly how wonderful they had it with Calipari. Not only were they getting the most elite talent, but they were talked about all the time. Calipari is a magnet of attention, and they lose that now. And not only do they lose the recruits that come with it, but they lose the branding that comes with it. BYU's head coach, I don't know who that is, and I don't know how he could possibly fill the vacuum that's now in place of Calipari leaving to go to Arkansas. I think that this is a massive mistake. for Kentucky. I understand that they were highly disappointed over the last decade of results with Calipari. You want to hold him, his feet to the fire, fine. But he made Kentucky the ultimate stepping stone to the NBA, and in some ways that's more valuable money-wise than even Final Fours. So, and by the way, it is hard to get to the Final Four. It is so hard to get to the Final Four consistently, especially if you are not Duke or UNC, who always seem to have a bracket built for them by the committee to help them kind of get their way into an Elite Eight. So I think Kentucky makes a big mistake in letting Calipari get out the door. I know there are a lot of Big Blue Nation fans who feel differently. I think you're going to be regretting this one over the next few years, and I think Arkansas got a steal, because who really cared about Arkansas basketball? I liked Musselman there, but nothing like Calipari. Pig Suey, it's going to be a new era in the SEC. Wonderful to have you guys with us. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're always with us when we're live. Again, we're answering your fantasy football questions, fantasy baseball questions. I say fantasy football because actually a lot of you guys have mentioned that you're curious about doing some mock drafts. We will be doing mock drafts thanks to Rival Fantasy. Rival Fantasy is going to do a mock drafts post NFL draft, so it'll allow us to do a lot of mock drafts to get ready for the fantasy football season. They also do fantasy baseball. We are going to look at some fantasy baseball challenges today. If any of you guys have a challenge in mind, I'm down for it. So let me know a player that you think's going to have a big day, and you and I can go head to head, seeing who's going to get the most out of that player, who's going to get the most fantasy points. So let's get back to some of your questions. Baltimore money line in baseball, what do you think? I think they probably win, but frankly, I think it's a bit of a coin toss game. And part of the reason I say that is I don't have a lot of faith in Grayson Rodriguez compared to Garrett Whitlock. Garrett Whitlock's the better pitcher in that matchup. I understand that the Orioles have the better lineup, but I'm a little bit nervous about this one if I were to take the Orioles. I actually think this is a game that the Red Sox could win. Now, the Red Sox burned me yesterday, that is for sure, because I expected the Red Sox to hold on to that run lead that they had, a 5-run lead that they blew. But losing by 2, I had them at plus 1.5. I actually think they bounce back and they make it the win today. So I would kind of be cautious about taking the Baltimore Orioles in today's game. I think there are a number of player prop bets I would like for the Orioles. Let's talk about one player prop bet related to the Orioles that I'm actually very much into. I'm hoping it cashes again today, and that is Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson is cooking, folks. He is playing very, very well. Let's get over to Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson is locked in. He's playing very well, and I love his opportunity to score a run today, to get a run. Over half a run is coming in at minus 110 over on DraftKings. I think that's a very strong play, just given how he's been performing in this offense, how they are offensively at the top of the lineup. I think Gunnar Henderson over half a run, very strong play. Head-to-head against Whitlock, only one at bat, not a lot of success there, but that doesn't deter me from taking him. Has a great history against right-handed pitching. So with that said, I'm going to throw this one up on the board as well. That's Gunnar Henderson over half a run. That's one for the big board right there. Appreciate you guys being with us, watching on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, or Kick. Boogie, Man City versus Real Madrid. I like Man City. Man City is the one I think is gonna win. El Pinche, Stars or Jets? Let's go look and jump over to the Stars and Jets. Take a look at that NHL game for you guys. Stars and Jets, puck drop at 8 p.m. tonight. Stars are getting a ton of public action. 99% of the tickets are on the Stars on this one. However, 67% of the tickets are on the Jets to cover the spread. Let's take a look at some trends to make sure we're on the right track of this. Let's first start with the Jets. As an away dog against an opponent with an average winning percentage above 500. Again, we like to look at how they do against quality opponents under the circumstances that they'll be playing in tonight, and boy, have they struggled. That's because I didn't put in the right thing. Hold on one second. There we go. So they've gone 6-5. They've been kind of on a back and forth stretch over their last 6 games. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. If that trend were to continue, it would be a loss tonight. Overall, the average margin of difference in terms of score is 2.6 goals per game to 2.7. Not too much we take from that, but I don't love the trend if I'm looking at the Jets. Let's flip it around. Let's look at the Dallas Stars. When the Stars are a home favorite against a team with a winning record, Stars have been performing actually pretty well of late. Over their last 7 games, they've gone 5-2. Their 2 losses being to the Oilers and the Panthers. Both of those were by just 1 goal. Those are 2 very good teams, and to lose by just 1. I personally love the Stars on this one, so that's exactly where I would go. Seems to be the right play given how the public's going down on it. Don't love being on the public this heavy, but when it comes to hockey this late in the season, kind of, par for the course. Masters, pun intended. Stars on the money line is going to be our pick for that one. Appreciate the question. Josh Hart, 1 3-pointer made. Interesting player prop bet question. Let's go look at Josh Hart, 1 3-pointer made. I did look at Josh Hart earlier on points. I didn't really like his point total. I actually thought the under would be a better play, but that's not what your question is. Your question's about 3-pointers made. It's just set at half a 3-pointer. You can get it at straight up even money. For shooting guards, the problem is the Celtics are one of the best defenses in the league against shooting guards. What may give you a little bit of hope shy money is if Derek White plays the point guard position, if Drew Holiday is out, if they sit him for rest, it may mean Derek White shifts over to the point guard, may mean that Josh Hart's a little bit more open, but it's not a very good matchup for Josh Hart, I will say that. If we look over the last 10 games or so, hasn't been a very hot trend, has hit in the last 2 games, but prior to that, hadn't hit in the previous 4. On the road, though, it has hit in 4 of the last 6. I do want to look at one thing. How is it done when OG Anunoby has been in the lineup? When OG's been in the lineup, it's hit in 4 of the last 10, 2 of the last 6. Shy money, because the matchup against the Celtics isn't a very good one, I'd probably avoid it. But if you put it down, it's a pretty good return on the investment, so don't hate it. Jaylen Brown, over 19.5 points. I do like that one. Yep, you guys know it. Jason, Orioles, Red Sox. As I mentioned, I'm probably on the fence. If I had to go in any direction, I'd probably actually take the Red Sox plus 1.5. They have the better starting pitching. Given that they blew the lead yesterday, I'm cautious to do it. But that said, I do think the Red Sox have a better chance at covering the spread. That's the better play, I think, for me. Elite Detail, great to see you. 2-team parlay. Caps game over 5 and Pens game over 5. Almost even money. Interesting question there. When we looked at the Capitals game early, we didn't take a look at the total. The under is getting a lot of action. I should mention that. The under is getting 92% of the total public tickets on that Capitals game. So kind of interesting you went in that direction. As for the Penguins game, Penguins and Red Wings set at 5.5. 92% of the money is on the over. I actually do like the over on that game. Penguins, Red Wings, I'm actually kind of surprised it's set at 5.5. Maybe there's somebody who's sitting in that game. Let's take a quick look at the injury report. No one that really stands out that's like, okay, I would think that Elite Detail, that Red Wings, let me take a look at that game because I want to, something about that feels like a really good game, really good betting opportunity. Red Wings as an away dog. Do they count that as a losing record? Wow, that's crazy. Anyways, here's a trend for you. Here's a trend for you. When the Red Wings play an opponent with a sub 500 winning percentage, and because the Penguins have 12 losses in overtime or shootouts, they actually do have technically a losing win percentage. In that scenario, the over has gone 7-1. When the Red Wings have played an opponent road dog under those circumstances, 7-1. What should you take from my comments? We love the over. We love the over. We love the over. Red Wings and Penguins over 5.5. That feels like a very good bet. The average goals in those games has been around 7-8 goals. Love to see that. Let's take a look at the Penguins under those same circumstances for tonight's matchup when they've been a home favorite against an opponent with a sub 500 winning percentage, which the Red Wings technically do. The over-under is actually almost even across the board, 8, 8, and 3. It is closer to around 6 goals, but it's still around 6 goals. So with that said, over 5.5 for the Penguins and the Red Wings. Definitely love that bet. Chase Green, great to see you. A lot of people asking about that Orioles and Red Sox game tonight. What I'm saying to everybody is I'm not crazy about it overall in terms of confidence level. If I had to go in any direction, I'd probably take the Red Sox plus 1.5. Garrett Whitlock's the better pitcher. I think the Red Sox, after a bad loss yesterday, might salvage the effort today. I feel a little bit better about it with Garrett Whitlock on the bump. Don't love Grayson Rodriguez that much. I also think Grayson Rodriguez may give up a number of walks, 2, 3, maybe even 4 walks. So I think the Red Sox may just have more opportunities overall to get some runs. I do love Gunnar Henderson. Keep your eye on him in this game. I think he gets a run scored. I think he could be good for over 1.5 total bases. I'm very big on Gunnar Henderson, but when it comes to the Red Sox-Orioles game in terms of a game pick, I lean slightly, I think, towards the Red Sox plus 1.5 over anything. That's probably where I come down. In fact, I'll put it up on the board. It burned me yesterday because they blew that 5-run lead, but I'll take Red Sox plus 1.5 in that one. Gunnar Henderson, though, over half a run. Keep your eye on it. How do you feel about Curry and assists? Let's go take a look at that player prop bet, everybody. We're going to jump on over, and we're going to take a look at Steph Curry. We're answering questions here on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Do we always answer questions like this? Not always. A lot of times I'll just go through the games and give out trends and data for all of you guys to think about and chew on, put into some of your bets. But I figure it's nice to have some of your questions answered every now and then. With that said, Steph Curry, we're looking at assists for this game. His matchup is actually a decent one. The Portland Trail Blazers are 19th in the NBA when it comes to assists allowed to point guards. Right now, the assist total for Curry tonight is set at 6.5. It opened at 6.5, has since come down to 5.5. Interesting there. This had not been a good trend for much of the last 2 months, 3 months. However, over the last few games, it's been a better trend. So over the last 7 games, this has hit 4 times. Again, that's at 6.5. If I brought it down to 5.5, which is where it's currently sitting at for DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, and Caesars, he's hit on this in 6 of his last 10 games. He's really hit on it in 6 of his last 8. So he's been doing a much better job when it comes to assists over his last 10 games on the road. Still a strong play. 5 out of his last 7 this has hit. Let's take a look at the injury report really quick. Draymond Green is out. Klay Thompson is out. Draymond Green is out. Klay Thompson is out for the Warriors tonight. Repeat, rewind. Let me make sure you guys hear that. Draymond Green is out. Klay Thompson is out for tonight's game. Let's take a look when those 2 players are out of the lineup. How does Steph Curry perform when it comes to assists? Those are major, major influences there. It's only happened 1 time this season. He had 5 assists. So I actually might back off of Steph Curry when it comes to assists because of that. Let's take a look at points, though. How has Steph Curry done in that one scenario in which Klay Thompson was out and in which Draymond Green was out? Again, it happened 1 time this year. He had 28 points. What's his point total for tonight? 27.5. So very interesting there. Let's just take a look. When Draymond Green hasn't been in the lineup, Steph Curry, and they've been on the road, Steph Curry hasn't gone over 27.5 points in 6 straight games. So that's something to keep your eye on. When he hasn't had Klay Thompson in the lineup, if we just focus on Thompson being out of the lineup, he actually has gone over his point total. So kind of interesting. Draymond being out, Steph Curry tends to go below his point total. Klay Thompson being out, he tends to go above his point total. So kind of an interesting split decision on that one. But I would avoid the assist bet. We were asked about Steph Curry on 6.5 assists. I actually might take the under. That's a thought now. Steph Curry under 6.5 assists. That might be the play we actually end up liking, Jay. Appreciate the question. Hope you are enjoying the show. Make sure you hit the follow button. That way you never miss when we're live. Keon Ellis, 9.5 points. Keon Ellis, 9.5 points. Let's take a look at it. Sacramento Kings, Keon Ellis. Right now I'm seeing 7.5 points. Let's see. Let's take a look. I'm seeing 8.5. You're seeing 9.5. I'm seeing 8.5 right now. That's coming in at 8 even money. The matchup for him, it's actually decent. The Pelicans are 15th in the league when it comes to points allowed to the shooting guard position. Injuries for this game are a major factor. Keegan Murray, game time decision. Obviously, Malik Monk is out. Let's take a look at when Monk has been out. How has Ellis performed? He's gone over the point total in 2 of his last 4 games under those circumstances. He had a massive game a couple days ago. Is there reason for me to believe that he can repeat that? No. At home, he has gone under his point total in 4 straight games when he has had Malik Monk out of the lineup. In fact, when he has been at home this year, he has only gone over his point total 7 times. I wouldn't take this bet. I don't know how he really landed on this, but I wouldn't touch Keon Ellis. If you wanted to because it's even money, sure, but I don't see the value in the bet. Appreciate you guys being with us. Throw your questions or comments in the chat. We'll try to get to as many as we can. Juan's asking for like a pick of the day right now. Kind of an interesting sports day. What do we feel most confident about? Well, early on, I felt most confident about the Royals. I thought the Royals were going to win. Brady Singer's been actually on a good stretch, but that was early baseball, so that's kind of a cop-out. Let's take a look at some of the games across the NBA. What do we feel strongest about? For the moment, I'm kind of curious about this Houston Rockets Jazz game. I'm looking at this spread. You can see actually the money is coming down very heavily on the Utah Jazz. Jazz plus 10.5 is getting 89% of the money. What's up with that? To quote SNL, like, what's up with that? Something stinks when it comes to that. Rockets have a couple of players out. As for the Jazz, Clarkson out, Collins out, Dunn out, Lauri Markkanen out. Maybe it's a kind of an outlier game, but the Rockets haven't been a very good team at home. Haven't been a very good team on the road. So just kind of something to keep your eye on. But I don't love tonight's action, if I'm being honest. Tonight is a very weird night. Feels like one of those nights in which teams either have a lot on the line or have no reason to play. The Jazz kind of keep my interest because I feel like with both teams being out, you could actually see the Rockets kind of take their foot off the gas and not give their best effort. They're kind of a team that lacks motivation and lacks kind of want at times. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Jazz cover the 10.5. But other than that, I don't know. The player prop bet that I really like the most is Jaylen Brown. I also really like Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum over like 22.5 points was a player prop bet that I was looking at earlier today. That small forward position has a great matchup against the Knicks. That falls, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both fall under that category. He has been consistently reaching 23.5 points. If I do take Drew Holiday and I say he's going to be sidelined, I'm not saying that's the case, but he's hit over 23.5 points in 4 straight games when Drew Holiday hasn't played. When Kristaps Porzingis has been out of the lineup, he's a game time decision. He's hit in 15 out of his last 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of his last 10. So there's just a lot of reason for me to believe that Jason Tatum over 20, I'll put it up on the board. Jason Tatum over 23.5 points. If you want to do some parlays, over 22.5 points and over 21.5. I'd feel very good about. So I just feel very strongly about the Celtics' small forward position having big games. If Drew Holiday and Porzingis play, maybe it impacts that a little bit, but I still think the matchup against the Knicks is going to be a good one. Now, I understand OG Anunoby being back impacts that. Maybe they're not as good, but OG can only cover one of them at a time. So I actually think at a certain point, each guy will get their opportunity as OG kind of switches off between the two. So those are two of my favorite bets. I really love the Gunnar Henderson over half a run. We talked about the Red Wings and Penguins over 5.5 goals. That's a bet that we like as well. Someone's asking about Jerome is asking about Jason Tatum on rebounds. Let's take a look at that for Jerome. It's set right now at 6.5. Good matchup. The Knicks are 21st when it comes to rebounds allowed to the small forward position. Tatum's hit the total on this, hit the over in 6 of his last 10 games overall. At home, he's hit it in 7 of his last 10 games, but only 2 of his last 5. It's kind of an interesting trend there. When he's played against the Knicks in Boston, this is missed in the last 2 games under those circumstances. It's missed in the last 3 games overall. Feels like 6.5. The sportsbook's being smart enough to put it just a notch above where he's kind of been at. He's been at 6 very consistently. He actually hasn't gotten to 7 too frequently over the last few games against the New York Knicks. This is only, the over for 6.5 is only hit in 10 of his last 20 games. I know it's a good matchup. The only thing I'm curious about is when Porzingis is out of the lineup, how has it gone? Worse. It's been worse. How about when Drew Holiday's out of the lineup? How has it been? It's been really good, actually. When Drew Holiday's been out of the lineup, he's gone over 6.5 rebounds, 16 out of his last 20 games. So, Jerome, this is what I would say. Wait until the injury report comes out. If Drew Holiday is out, I would take the over. If Drew Holiday is in, I would probably take the under. And by the way, if both of them are out, absolutely take the over. Jason Tatum has gone over 6.5 rebounds in 18 of his last 20 games when Porzingis and Drew Holiday are out of the lineup. Interesting to note, the only 2 misses were the last 2 games he played under those circumstances. But that said, it's been such a good trend. If those 2 are out of the lineup, take the over. If Holiday is out of the lineup, take the over. But if Porzingis is the one out, maybe you feel a little bit differently. Great question, Jerome. Appreciate you being with us. Hope you hit that follow button. You play Dynasty Fantasy Football? Yes, I do, K2. So if you have a fantasy football question, we are focused on fantasy football all year round. We actually talked to Rival Fantasy. We've got the mock drafts ready to go the moment the draft hits. We are going to do a draft night coverage for night 1 of the NFL draft. I'm going to be live on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, reacting to what goes down in the draft, talking to you guys, obviously, not just about the football implications, but the fantasy football implications. Who are we focusing on for the draft? Who could be a good draft if you only do rookie drafts? So a lot of things to consider. We'll be doing that in just a couple of weeks. The NFL draft not too far away. Isaac, how is Zion Williamson looking for tonight's NBA game? He's got a great matchup when it comes to points and assists. Points and assists are really good matchups for him. So we'll talk about fantasy, but I don't want to actually look at it. I want to look at points, rebounds, and assists so we can kind of look at where he's getting his fantasy points from. When it comes to matchups, rebounds, it's a decent matchup. Points and assists, very strong matchup. Right now, his point total is set at 26.5. That opened at 25.5 and has since moved up to 26.5. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some action coming down on it. On the road, hasn't been a great trend, but that said, I can see him getting to 22, 24 points. So Isaac, just think of that's one section of the fantasy basketball result you're hoping from Zion. Let's take a look at his assist total. It's set at 5.5. It opened at 5, moved up to 5.5. Hasn't been a very consistent trend at that 5.5. If you took it at 4.5, I think you could see it cash, but not good enough for us. But still, Isaac, you think he's going to get around 22, 23 points. He'll have about 4 or 5 assists. Pretty strong night. Let's finish it out by looking at his rebounds. It's right now set at 7.5. Opened at 6.5, went up to 7. So you think Isaac, if he's going to be around a 22-6, 22-5-5 game, 22-6-6 game, really strong fantasy night for him, Isaac. I put him in a fantasy lineup. I would certainly draft him. By the way, if any of you guys want to do an NBA best ball over on Rival Fantasy, that's where we each put up some money. I'll put up $3, I'll put up $5, whatever you guys want to do. And we go head to head. We draft a lineup based on the players playing tonight. Whoever has the winning lineup gets the cash. If any of you guys want to participate, whether you're watching on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, DM me right now over on Instagram, and you guys can be a part of that. So make sure you guys DM me on Instagram if you want to be a part of that NBA best ball tonight over on Rival Fantasy. We have a question coming in from K2, a fantasy football question. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ridley, a third pick in the second round, an 8th pick in the second round. Or is it a second pick in the third, a second pick in the 8th? You're going to have to explain it. For Tyreek London. Ooh, great question. Okay, great question. Second round, third pick. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Wow, that's a great question. Do I like Tyreek, Drake London, Najee, and a second round pick, a second round first pick? Wow, K2, that's a great one. I think I'd rather go with Tyreek, Drake London, Najee, and the first pick of the second round. Drake London could have a monster year. I think Tyreek, you kind of know what his floor is going to be. Is he going to be healthy enough to play an entire season? Probably not. At this point, Tyreek Hill is most likely a 15 game per season player, 14 game per season player. You just know how his body kind of wears down over the course of a season. But Tyreek Hill is going to still put up wide receiver 1 kind of numbers for you in fantasy. Drake London could be a wide receiver 1 as well. So you're locking in 2 wide receiver 1s. I can't say that about Amon-Ra St. Brown and Ridley. Do I think Amon-Ra St. Brown could do that? Yes, but he has injury history of his own. I think Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown have kind of an equal injury risk history, even though Amon-Ra is much younger. But I think Drake London, his upside is so great. Ridley could perform well in Tennessee, but frankly, I like the offense Drake London's going to have around him a whole lot more. So I'll take Tyreek, London, Najee, and the first pick of the second round. That's what I like the most there, K2. Let me know what you think of the analysis. Let me know which side of the bet you're on, or which side of the trade you're on. Chris Santiago, DeMar for over 5 assists as we switch from fantasy football and jump back over into some of our bets. Let's take a look at this player prop bet. The player prop bet's going to be DeMar. And we're looking at specifically assists. We'll start by looking at the matchup that he has for assists overall. Not a good one. Not a good one. Detroit is actually the 6th best defense in the NBA when it comes to assists allowed to the shooting guard position. So it's not one that actually is a great bet. If we look at the trend, on the road over the last 10 games, hasn't been a very good trend. He's actually only gone over this total once in his last 5 games, 4 times in his last 10. I would say avoid it. Chris, not a bet I'd be willing to make. Head-to-head against Detroit, he has hit this once in his last 3 games against Detroit in Detroit. But even there, he has only hit over this total once in his last 7 games against Detroit. Chris, I would either not bet it at all, or I would actually take under 6.5 assists. It's right now at 5.5. I would take the under 5.5. This opened at 5. It went up to 5.5. It's since come down to 4.5. There's something about how this is fluctuating between 5.5 and 4.5. If you could get this under 6, under 6.5, under 5.5, that's what I would take. I wouldn't take the over. I would take the under, Chris. JT, 2 questions. Steph Curry, points, rebounds, and assists. Who are the top 3 running backs? I'll start. We talked a little bit about Steph Curry a moment ago. So I'll start by focusing on the 3 running backs that I like the most in this year's draft. First of all, let's call things what they are. I think Breece Hall is going to have a monster year. I love the Jets this year. I love their offense. Breece Hall is going to be one for me. Kyren Williams performed too well last year for me not to think of him in that kind of top-tier status. By the way, I'm probably going to miss somebody. I'm just thinking of 3 players that I really have my eye on. It's also now it's between Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs. I think both of those guys could have monster seasons. So, look, Christian McCaffrey obviously is probably a top 3 running back still overall, and you probably draft him. But I just named 3 running backs who probably aren't the obvious guys who are probably going to have monster years. Now, Bijan may be obvious still, but Bijan, Kyren Williams, who performed so well last year, I think he's going to show out. Breece Hall, everybody. Breece Hall is someone I am going to make an effort to draft in every team that I've got this year. Jets might be good next year, but they are forever the Cooper movie, bringing the jokes, bringing those jokes. That said, the Jets have a loaded roster, everybody. I think the Jets right now have to be considered one of the top 3-4 teams in the AFC, believe it or not. Jay Frosty, Josh Hart, DD, double-double? I don't know about that. Celtics might, I don't know if he gets the points. Celtics money line, Tatum 0 rebounds. Wow, that Jay Frosty, how much are you getting for that parlay? I'm gonna drought. Give me a short bed today. Jorge, do your best, man. We're getting through it. Yeah, the Cooper movie. Isn't it interesting to know that sometimes you overlook? Oh, over on rebounds. Thank God. I was about to be like, damn, you're really fighting on that one. Best value is Raheem Mostert in fantasy football. It was last year. I don't think it'll be this year. Achan is going to come back. Achan's value is going to skyrocket, and I wouldn't actually be surprised if the Dolphins add to their running backs in the offseason, in the draft, or as they get closer to training camp. I think Raheem Mostert was a darling of last year's fantasy football season. I don't think he will this year. Appreciate you guys being with us. K2, thanks for the question. If you guys have fantasy football questions, feel free to ask. Fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball, of course, all about that as well. And as I mentioned, if any of you guys want to do some rival fantasy challenges, get in on the action. Rival Fantasy has challenges where we can each pick a player. Who do you think is going to get more fantasy points? Can be in the NBA, can be in MLB. So if any of you guys want to do that challenge right now, we can literally go head to head. You pick the player. We each get a side of the bet. Jorge, what's a good bet for today? Right now, some of the bets that I really like, I do like the Sabres on the money line. I love the Red Wings and Penguins over 5.5. Jaylen Brown reaching 20 points. Jason Tatum reaching about 22 points. Gunnar Henderson over half a run. Haven't actually given out as many game picks. Don't love the action tonight when it comes to game picks. So it's kind of interesting. You hear from me. A lot of the time I'm giving out a lot of games. But tonight's action's just kind of weak. Like taking a quick look across the sports world, there are only 2 MLB games left on the schedule that haven't started. Pirates at Phillies. If I had to go in any direction for that one right now, I'm going to lean actually just slightly towards taking the Pirates at plus 1.5. It's just nothing about that game that really gets me excited. I'm kind of on the fence about it overall. But if I had to go in any direction, interestingly enough, the money is coming down on the Pirates, so I'll put it on the board so you guys see it. I would take Pirates plus 1.5. I would take the Red Sox plus 1.5. I think a lot of the money is, a lot of the public would assume that it's Orioles and Phillies for the win, so maybe I'm disagreeing with some of you guys out there. Let me know what you guys think. Let's do a quick poll right now. Let's do another quick poll. Smiley face, Phillies, crying face, Pirates. Who do you think wins tonight, okay? Quick poll. Smiley face Phillies, crying face Pirates. Who do you think wins tonight? Matchup is in Philadelphia. Let me know who do you think is going to win tonight's game between the Pirates and the Phillies. Smiley face for the Phillies, crying face for the Pirates. It's even right now on TikTok. Let me know if you're watching over on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick what you think. So we're doing a quick poll. This game is a coin flip in my estimation. Who do you think wins? Pirates are a hot team. Phillies haven't been playing bad ball. If you like the Phillies, take the smiley face. If you like the Pirates, go crying face. Chase Green, going with the Pirates, like to take Chase. What do you guys think out there? Let your voice be known. Jen is going with the Pirates. M.E. is going with the Phillies. Jorge is going with the Pirates. J. Will is going with the Pirates. Habib is going with the Phillies. Smiley face for the Phillies. Crying face for the Pirates. We have an even vote. Get your vote in. Smiley face Phillies. Crying face Pirates. Final vote in, and the Pirates. So you guys are with me. I'm taking the Pirates plus 1.5. Might be worth taking them on the money line if you feel that strongly about it. Great to have you guys engaging with the show. Love being able to talk to you guys all the time. Make sure you DM me on Instagram if you guys ever want to do some of these rival fantasy challenges off the air. I love competing against you guys, obviously talking some ball. So whenever you guys are off the show, or whenever I'm off the show, feel free to hit me up. Speaking of that Red Sox game, the money is coming down on the Orioles to win. So if you are thinking about a team to bet on, maybe you want to take the Red Sox to cover but the Orioles to win, I'll actually put that one up on the board. I already put the Red Sox plus 1.5, but I think it's going to be a one-run game in that one. I could see that being like a 3-2 game, 4-2 game. It's kind of a dreary day over in Massachusetts right now. As for the NBA, the games on the schedule, Bulls and Pistons. The only part of this game that's getting a lot of action from the money is the over. Let's go take a look at that, everybody. Let's take a look at the Pistons and the Bulls game. I'm kind of curious when the Pistons are a home dog and the line, they're a double-digit underdog. First of all, the Pistons are 1-9 under that scenario, so everybody, we really like the Bulls on the money line tonight, let's just say that. But I'm kind of curious about why the over is getting so much love. We're going to look at the Bulls really quick. When they've been a double-digit favorite so far this year, hasn't happened when they've been on the road. Kind of interesting. The biggest spread that they've had. Wow. We've got some great trends for you guys. Okay. When the Bulls have been a 5-point favorite or more on the road, first of all, they're 5-0 straight up. You can make this one of our favorite bets of the night. Put it on the board. Bulls on the money line. Bulls on the money line, okay? But what's also interesting is they've done very well against the spread. They've gone 4-1 against the spread when they've had a spread of at least, let's say 10 points, let's say 9 points. So kind of interesting there. By the way, the spread for this game, right now it's set at 9.5 where I see it. It's moved a couple times, so fine. But that said, Bulls. Average margin of difference is 12 points. I'm taking the Bulls to cover the spread. So not only Bulls on the money line, I'll take the Bulls at -8.5. Right now they're going at -9.5. I'll make it a little bit safer for myself. But actually, I feel like they could get to the 9.5 as well. So I like the Bulls to cover. I think Bulls get a double-digit win. Really quick, let's just make sure the injury report is on our side. DeSomo is out. Drummond is out. Cade Cunningham, game time decision. No, I like the Bulls I like Bulls money line, but I like the Bulls to cover. Bulls -8.5, Bulls -9.5. So a couple of plays that we do like. Cade is out. Habib letting us know we love Bulls now. Bulls double-digit win. Jennifer, that's why. Cade Cunningham, now that he's been announced out, that's exactly why. Right now, the total is set at 219. I'm not crazy about it. Now that we know that Cade Cunningham is out, doesn't make me feel great about it. Probably avoid the total, but I love the Bulls to cover. Ben's saying he likes the over. I think I like the over as well. The over is a very good trend. I'll lean towards the over as well, but you might want to be a little cautious about it just because some of the offense is out of the building with no Cade Cunningham in the lineup for the Pistons. But I actually do like the over as well. I take it at 219.5. I'm just going to make the bet that it gets to 220. That's really the bet I'm going to make. 218.5, 219.5. That feels right. I'm getting confident on Ivy points and Kobe. Let's take a quick look at that. Now that we have a jump on knowing that Cade Cunningham is out, let's look at Jaden Ivey. They might have pulled that from the board as well. I think they did. Yeah. All the Detroit Pistons plays have been pulled except Cade Cunningham, because the sports books need to go put in the work. So Ranger, we're hearing it from people out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if they know already. I usually go under for turnovers on Ivy. Interesting bet, interesting play. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. I love talking sports with you guys every single day. We do our research live on the show, just looking at trends, data, analytics, looking at some of the matchups every single day to try to find some of the best bets that we have. I'm not betting the Celtics in the Knicks game. Part of the reason for that is, one, I want to wait and hear what the injury report's going to be, how many of the Celtics starting five that we've come to know, how many are out of the lineup. Drew Holiday, Porzingis, both game time decisions. If they're out, that could impact things. Additionally, I feel like the Knicks are a slightly better play with OG Anunoby in the lineup, but I don't feel confident about it enough. If I were to take it, I'd probably take the Knicks to cover at like a +4.5, +3.5, because I feel like it's going to be a one-bucket game at worst. But that said, I'm probably avoiding that game in terms of the game pick. I really like Brown and Tatum to both go over 20 points, though, in that one. Caleb is kind of with me on Knicks money line. Yeah, not a bad idea. Penguins or Red Wings? Diego, we didn't like a side in that one, but we love the over 5.5 goals in that Penguins and Red Wings game. Ben likes the Red Wings. Appreciate you guys being with us. If you guys want to get in on any of the rival fantasy challenges that are up on our screen, if you're watching over on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, you see on our screen how I can pick between De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan for who's going to have a better game. Throw $5 on DeMar DeRozan. That's how you can do it. Jaylen Brown, DeMar DeRozan. I'll go Jaylen Brunson on this one. Brunson, DeMar DeRozan. Throw $5 on it. So that's how we do rival fantasy challenges. If any of you guys want to compete on it, let us know. Let me see if there are any Gunnar Henderson plays up on the board. I'd love to get Gunnar if I can. Yeah, versus Hayes. I'd take Gunnar Henderson at a $5 bet. How about Gunnar Henderson going up against Jared Jones? I don't want to take him against a pitcher if I can avoid it. How about Schwarber? Okay, I'll take it. $5 on that. So a way that you guys can use the research and knowledge that 13.5 feels like a very, very big spread given the circumstances. The Warriors, let's just take a look at it really. Let's take a look at the Trailblazers, actually. Trailblazers, when they are in a home dog of 13 points or more this year, they are 0-4, but they're 4-0 against the spread. That tells you all you need to know. I'll take that pick and put it up on the board. I would take Warriors on the money line, but I would take the Trailblazers at +14.5. You could probably take them +13.5, but Ben is absolutely right on that one. Take the Trailblazers to cover 13.5. I think he's absolutely right on that. Feels like a good play. Ben's on his game. Robert, Knicks -10 tonight over Boston. Watch and see. I'm calling it. Robert Wayne is letting everybody know. Robert Wayne's letting everybody know that the Knicks are going to put a beat down on the Celtics. Ben's got the Celtics, so a bit of a split decision on that one. Very interesting. By the way, one of the reasons I'm not betting that game is for the very reason you're seeing discrepancy. The trends, actually, we looked at them earlier, says a lot about it. What do you think about projected points for Brunson? I think he's going to have a big point night. I think he gets around 28, 29 points tonight. Does he get to 30? That's the big question mark. I think he gets to lowest. I think it's about 25, 26. So, Robert, Celtics are resting their starters. They have the top seed. Interesting. Have we talked Pelicans game yet? We really haven't. We haven't talked about that Pelicans game. If we look at how the money's coming down on it, the Kings are getting a lot of action on the money line. Pelicans are getting action on the spread. It's only a 1-point spread. The only issue, the over is getting a lot of love. Pluex, great to see a familiar face, a moderator up on the channel. Great to see you. The over is getting a lot of love in that Pelicans and Kings game. Let's go take a look at that. Right now, the Kings are a home favorite, but only by 1 point. When they've had a line of -2 or less, the Kings are 4-1, 3-2 against the spread. The over has gone 3-2. Now, flipping it around right now, when the Pelicans have been an away dog and the spread is 2 or fewer, they're 2-1. Man, I don't like that game. That feels like a trap game. I'm not going to take that one. TikToker, we were just debating Knicks and Celtics. For me right now, I would probably lean towards taking the Knicks to cover like a 3.5 point spread, but I don't feel good enough about it to take a side on the money line right now. Sprinkle something on Knicks -9. This is what I'll say. Robert Wayne, I love the way he's thinking, because I will say this. You can take bets that come in at even money, or you have to give up a little bit on the odds, and you don't get a great return. If you're going to go down, you get a great return. If Robert Wayne hits on a Knicks -8 bet, he's getting such a good return on his investment that it actually kind of makes it worth his while. So that's what I would kind of say to everybody is, while I don't necessarily agree with Robert's pick, I love his strategy. His strategy is saying it's about return on investment. So if I'm going to take the Knicks, if the Knicks are going to beat the Celtics, they're probably going to do it. Thanks, Jennifer. They're probably going to do it by a comfortable margin as the Celtics kind of take their foot off the gas, rest guys in the fourth quarter. So it's either going to be the Celtics win, not a lot of value there, or it's going to be the Knicks by a wider margin, and that's a great return on investment. So, Robert, I think you're really onto something. Great call by you. Appreciate you guys watching, no matter the platform, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. Chase Green, if you had $1 million, what would be your one pick today? If I had to go with one pick today, if I had $1 million, well, first of all, if I had $1 million, I diversify and I put it into a series of different trades on the market. I'd do that. I wouldn't do sports betting, that's for sure. But if I had to go with one pick, it's probably a Bulls on the money line. It might even be a Trailblazers +13, +14.5. I actually think those two NBA picks are very, very attractive. That's Bulls on the money line. I could see the Bulls covering also 5. I don't know if I'd take $1 million and put it on it. I'd probably take something safer. But Trailblazers +13.5 feels like a very good bet, given the Warriors are sitting players. Keep in mind, the Warriors have also gotten into the playoffs. So yes, they need the win, but it's not like they're going full throttle. They want to rest some players too, given that they're going to be in the play-in tournament. Appreciate you guys being with us. This was a lot of fun today. I love talking sports with you guys every single day on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Make sure you guys hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're with us every day when we're live. I really appreciate you guys being with us. If you've missed any of our picks, they are up on the board right now. A quick recap for all those watching. We like the Sabres on the money line. We like the Stars on the money line. We like Red Wings and Penguins over 5.5. We like the Bulls on the money line and the Bulls -8.5. We have the Bulls and Pistons over 218.5. We have the Warriors on the money line. The Trailblazers +13 or +14.5. Jaylen Brown to reach 20 points. Jason Tatum to reach about 21, 22 points. Gunnar Henderson over half a run. Red Sox +1.5. Pirates +1.5. And ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for this afternoon. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you follow. DM me on Instagram if you want any of my picks. I give them away for free every day. DM me on Instagram, ButtFumbleSports. DM me on Instagram. That way you never miss a pick. And of course, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe. That way you never miss a time when we're live. We will be live again later tomorrow. We will be live again, of course, tomorrow at 4:30 or 5. But we will also do a subscriber-only show where we're going to talk about some of the things that we're looking at across the sports world. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you're with us, and make sure you look out for our programming as we come on almost every single day. Appreciate you guys being with us. Have a wonderful Thursday night. Enjoy the sports action. I'll be seeing you tomorrow at 4:30. What time is that tomorrow? 4:30 Eastern time. 4:30 Eastern, we'll be researching NBA, NHL, and MLB picks. And yes, we will be talking about the Masters as well. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you enjoy your evening. Goodbye, everybody.